A few years back, we started our show to help others interested in exploring the Pacific Northwest and eventually the rest of the world.
Inspired by the spirit of the Negro Motorist Green Book, we wanted to be a valuable resource to Black and BIPOC travelers while connecting them to some of the most amazing places.
What's unique about our show is not only do we showcase spectacular destinations, but we also rate our experiences for how comfortable we felt visiting as Black travelers.
In every episode right here, we will show you some of those destinations as well as their comfort rating. I'm Anthony Love.
And I'm Marley Love. Come along with us on
Traveling While Black.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Traveling While Black. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Marley. And you're used to seeing us here on TV. But guess what? We also have a YouTube channel. And today we're blending the two formats in a way you've never seen before.
That's right. Today, we're giving you a sneak peek into our YouTube style. So you'll get to see our Comfortability for Black people rating, plus our travel grade and level of fun ratings.
So where are we heading this week? We're taking you to Northern California, gold country. And listen, I'm all about anything gold, y'all.
Yeah, she is. Plus, we've got a special travel tip in our Travel Flex segment, and we'll also show off some pics of you, our viewers, traveling while Black.
Yep, you're getting the full experience today. So sit back and enjoy the journey to California's gold country.
Sacramento, the city of trees. Not only is it the capital of California, but it's also known as a gateway to California's gold country. A name attributed to the state's northern region that is rich in history from the gold rush era and the development of the railroad.
Sacramento earned its gateway moniker due to its key role in transporting people and goods across California, thanks to the establishment of the railroad, an era that attracted people from all around the world, including freed Black individuals like Stephen Spencer Hill, who were among the fortunate to find prosperity within the region.
But just as much as the railroad, let's be real, what really kicked off the gold rush in California was people running their mouths. Even going back to the very first discovery that sparked the rush. On a January day in 1848, James W. Marshall, a carpenter, was working on a sawmill for John Sutter on his property about 45 miles outside of Sacramento when he discovered gold flakes.
When Marshall shared the news of his fortunate find to the owner of the property, John Sutter, Sutter was not too thrilled. In fact, he wanted to keep the find on the low, worried it would disrupt his original plans for his land.
Despite Sutter's wishes, news of the gold quickly spread, eventually reaching the ears of a local store owner, Samuel Brannan. Brannan, seeing the opportunity, became a vocal promoter of the find, even going as far as running through the streets of San Francisco with a vial of gold shouting, "Gold, gold!" from the American River.
Yes, the news of the gold spread fast and far, and as a result, around 300,000 people rushed to California from all over the country. The large influx of people brought in a ton of money, boosting local economies and giving rise to places like Sacramento and other small towns nearby. It even played a huge role into California becoming a state.
Even the smaller towns blew up from someone's big mouth. Take, for instance, the story that led to the creation of the town of Columbia, California. In March 1850, Dr. Thaddeus Hildrich, along with his brother George Hildrich, and a small party of prospectors struck gold in the area that would become Columbia.
The story goes, the brothers sent one of the miners from their party into town to retrieve some of their supplies and property. Sure enough, the miner couldn't help himself, and he let it slip about their find. The news instantly drew hundreds of prospectors, leading to the creation of the town of Columbia.
And yet another instance of loose lips furthering the frenzy known as the gold rush. The exploding economy and massive population boom did have a devastating impact on the indigenous peoples. Once gold was discovered by white settlers and the first railroad track was laid, the fate of the Native American population's way of life was sealed.
No, the combo of the gold rush and the railroad wasn't a win for everybody. But here in Sacramento, the railroad did lead to something positive that we've noticed in a lot of cities west of the Mississippi, that being the creation of a historic Black neighborhood. This one, Oak Park.
It's fitting that one of the first neighborhoods in the city of trees got its name from a row of oak trees that grew in the center of the land. Prior to being annexed by Sacramento in 1911, Oak Park was a suburb that thrived in part to the electric streetcar lines that connected it to the city.
Before World War II, the neighborhood was primarily made up of European immigrants. But like many other historic Black neighborhoods across the U.S., that shifted due to the familiar forces. growing industries, and restrictive housing practices. Also, like those other historic black neighborhoods, that led to some great things, like the development of a bunch of black businesses and institutions.
It could be argued that Oak Park's role in Sacramento's black history was most pivotal during the Civil Rights era, starting with the founding of Oak Park Baptist Church in 1945, which later became St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. For Sacramento's growing black population, the church provided a safe and supportive space that allowed for them to build a sense of community.
Another place within the neighborhood the black population found community was the historic Guild Theater. Originally opened in 1915, the theater began catering to black residents in 1959. There, black residents would not only see black films, but they could also attend civil rights meetings.
The community the Oak Park black residents built within the church and theater would cultivate the advocacy and activism that fueled the civil rights and black power movements in Sacramento and California overall. For instance, one of the most influential black newspapers in the state, the Sacramento Observer, was established in the neighborhood in 1962.
A part of the neighborhood's activism legacy is the Oak Park chapter of the Black Panther Party's connection to perhaps one of the most iconic moments in the party's history, the 1967 California Capitol protests. Many of the 30 men who stormed the California State Capitol in protest of the Mulford Act were from or connected to the Sacramento chapter that organized in Oak Park.
But during this time, the Mulford Act was far from the only threat targeting black residents, especially the ones residing within the historic black neighborhood. Divestment, police brutality, and displacement of many lower-income residents as a result of urban renewal led to increased poverty and crime. Yes, the situation in Oak Park was getting pretty dire for the residents within the neighborhood, but the community's fighting spirit that fueled the civil rights movement still burned hot enough to fuel its comeback.
In recent years, there's been a real push to bring Oak Park back to its former charm while making sure its rich black history stays front and center. And in our Level of Fun segment, we're going to show you just how far those efforts have come. Spoiler alert, there's been some real progress.
But Oak Park wasn't the only part of California's unique history we experienced on this trip of ours to the state. Yes, we got to travel all around Gold Country, exploring a variety of amazing locations, including the iconic Yosemite National Park.
Activities that connect to the state's gold rush era and railroad contributions, but also activities that showcase the area's future expansion into the wine industry.
Yes, on this trip, we experienced the state of California like we never had before. And on this episode, we are taking you there with us.
So, did that give you a little taste of Gold Country? Hopefully it got you excited to explore what that area is all about.
Yep, and to understand how it came to be. People often ask us, why do we as a travel show dive into the history of the places we visit? Well, because there's no better way to really know a destination than to understand its history.
Especially its black history, and we'll show you more about Oak Park later in the episode. But for now, check out our version of the Drive Grade segment, also called Travel Grade for places that we don't drive to. Take a look.
Travel Grade. If you've been with us for a while, then you are aware of the fact that we don't always drive on our journeys to destinations. Obviously, because of that, a drive grade is not always applicable.
Because we now have new 10-point scales, we had to create new criteria that make up what we call our travel grade, the grade we use on any destinations that we don't drive to.
With this being the first episode of us putting our new 10-point travel grade scale to use, we couldn't think of a more perfect opportunity to introduce a breakdown of the new scale.
So here's what goes into our 10-point travel grade scale. First, we're going to give a possible 2 points each for the quality of amenities for both the departing and destination airports.
We're also given 2 points possible for the difficulty of getting flights to a particular destination. For example, are there a lot of direct options versus the majority of layover options?
We are also considering the duration of the flight to the destination. For us, the shorter the better. Still, great customer service and airplane amenities can influence a perfect score for longer flights.
And finally, the affordability of flight options. Look, it's expensive to fly these days overall, but it's no secret that some destinations are cheaper to access than others. For us, that couldn't be more true, being that most times we are flying from Seattle.
There you have it. These are the 5 criteria that make up our travel grade scale. Now it's time to put it to use. For our trip to experience Gold Country, it made the most sense to fly into the city known as the gateway to the region, Sacramento.
Coming from Seattle, Sacramento is one of the few dream cities to fly to. Well, considering everything we're about to mention, like the less than 2-hour flight duration, as well as there being an abundance of flights going back and forth between the two cities. And we can say that most are offered at a reasonably affordable rate.
For us, even the airport amenities were a dream. The Sacramento airport was not nearly as busy as other major city airports, so it was a breeze getting through on arrival and to the gate on departure. We even had some great drinks and delicious food at one of the restaurants. As for our departure airport,
full disclosure, most times we are departing from Seattle, and either due to familiarity or genuine satisfaction, we love SeaTac. So that means that most times, the quality of the home airport amenities is an automatic 2 points. But let's look at how the points divvy out for the other criteria.
we can definitely give the Sacramento International Airport both points like SeaTac. The abundance of direct flight options and the relatively short duration earns 2 points in both categories.
And we think that our wallet can vouch for giving 2 points for the affordability of the flight options. The point tally just confirms what we already knew about the flight from Seattle to Sacramento. We give a 10 out of 10 for travel grade.
Welcome back. So what did you think of our travel grade segment? Hopefully that scoring system made sense to you.
And if it didn't, too bad. Just playing. We love hearing feedback from y'all, even suggestions on how we can keep improving and become a better resource.
So stick around because after the break, we'll show you our level of fun segment straight from our YouTube channel. And you'll get a peek of all the fun things that you can do in Gold Country. So you don't want to go anywhere.
Welcome back, beautiful people. We missed y'all during that break.
Yes, and now it's time for our level of fun segment. This is where you'll see if we found any fun in Gold Country, California.
And of course, we'll show you how our level of fun score measures up. Did we have fun? And does the score reflect it? Let's find out.
Level of fun. We left Sacramento International Airport in great spirits after the short flight. Even though we made previous visits to California, this was our first time experiencing this part of the state. So we were excited to see what Gold Country had to offer.
With the Gold Country region being shaped by its rich gold rush and railroad history, it's no surprise that there are a ton of incredible ways to really dive in and experience that history for yourself. Our first experience was a walking tour of Old Sacramento.
The walking tour took us through a historic district that was once a hub during the gold rush and railroad expansion. Today, it's a bustling area filled with shops and restaurants right around the corner from where the hometown Kings play. But kicking things off in the historic streets of the Gateway City was just the beginning of our dive into California's rich history.
As the name Gold Country suggests, the towns here fully embrace their connection to that historic era. Visitors can experience towns like Placerville, where the shops and restaurants are housed in preserved buildings from the Gold Rush days. One of those Gold Rush towns is even a state park.
Columbia State Historic Park. Yes, Columbia. The same town that came about thanks to the 1850 gold discovery by the Hildreth brothers. Since becoming a state park in 1945, the town has been preserved to showcase California's gold rush past.
Visitors who come to the park can experience everything from traditional shops to even locals who still dress for the era. On certain days, there are even carriage rides and even theater shows. This is possibly one of the cutest state parks we've ever seen.
It was a little surreal walking through town. It really felt like we stepped back in time. And the impromptu history lesson from the park ranger was also a pretty cool bonus. But the region's history we experienced that warmed our heart the most was our visit to the historic Oak Park neighborhood.
What we loved about the neighborhood is that there are thriving Black businesses, not only operating within, but also most visible. This visibility is thanks to the 40 Acres Art and Culture Center. The complex includes the Guild Theater, Underground Books, and the highly acclaimed Fixin' Soul Kitchen.
Yes, Gold Country's all about its historical roots, but what you might not realize is that the region's also growing a more modern, hip culture and even breaking new ground in some industries.
In Sacramento, we experienced firsthand the city's vibrant art scene by taking part in the Midtown Art Walk, a walk that is offered once a month and takes guests on a tour of the beautiful murals that decorate the city.
The murals began appearing around the city in 2016 when Sacramento held its first ever mural festival. The festival, known as Wide Open Walls, was a large-scale mural festival where more than 40 artists, both local and international, painted murals across various locations throughout the city.
The event was a hit and has been happening ever since. On the tour, we got to experience the result of those previous festivals. The murals have stunningly transformed the walls of the city into vibrant works of art.
The murals weren't the only aspect of the Sacramento art scene we seen on the Art Walk. We also had the pleasure to meet the artists themselves within their creative workspaces, like Gina Rossi, a local artist who is famous for art welding. Her work can actually be seen all over the city.
Our experience with Gold Country culture wasn't just limited to the Sacramento art scene. Nope, we headed out of the city into El Dorado County to experience their up-and-coming wine scene. What made our experience even more special was the fact that the 2 wineries we checked out were Black-owned.
Field Number 15 Winery and Brewery and Mellowwood Vineyard. Yes, both Black-owned and both providing great wine. Along with the wine tasting at Mellowwood, we were also treated to a traditional Kenyan dish.
The dish was a family recipe of the owners who came to America from Kenya and pursued a dream of owning and operating their own winery. Yes, in El Dorado County, we got great wine, great scenery, and an inspiring story.
So far, we've shown you our experience with the history and culture of Gold Country. But wait till you see how we experienced one of the best things this region has to offer, the nature. Be sure to return because immediately, right after the break, you'll see if our seemingly fun time was reflected in our level of fun score. See you soon.
Welcome to another TWB Travel Flex. This week's Travel Flex is all about finding cheaper flights with a simple trick. Use Google Flights.
Yep, if you need a getaway, have flexible dates, but aren't sure where to go, this Google Flights hack is for you.
All you have to do is head to Google Flights, type in your departure city, and select a date you want to travel. Here's the hack. Leave the destination field blank. Just hit Explore.
And boom, you'll see a bunch of flights from your city with their prices. It's a perfect way to check out all of your options and find the best deals.
Don't forget to zoom out. You'll be able to see flights to cities all over the world. You might just find a destination you never even thought about.
And that's this week's TWB Travel Flex. Find those deals and fly smarter.
Yes, this part of California does offer some amazing access to nature. One of the region's main nature attractions is the giant sequoias, the largest living thing on the planet. We got to experience these marvelous creatures at the Calaveras Big Trees State Park.
Calaveras Big Trees State Park is the only state park in the country that protects these famous trees. Standing next to these giants was an amazing experience. They even make a tall brother like me feel small.
Yes, feeling small in nature only continued when we took a visit to the iconic Yosemite National Park. Renowned for its stunning granite cliffs, waterfalls, diverse ecosystems, and more giant sequoias. We definitely can say that Yosemite lives up to everything we've ever heard about it.
During our time, we got in a quick hike to see one of the waterfalls still running during this time of year, and also checked out the park's Valley Floor Tour, a guided bus tour that takes visitors on a 2-hour bus tour of the park's Valley Floor. Yes, this park was everything and more. But the truth is, our visit this time was a bit rushed, and we didn't get to experience it like we really wish we had. But don't worry, because we will definitely be back.
Yes, we will. And to be honest, one of the places that we stopped in for dinner, Firefall Ranch, looked to be a great place to stay that's also located close enough to conveniently and comfortably enjoy the park. Stay tuned for that.
On our visit to Gold Country, we definitely did a lot. And everything we did connects in some way to a piece of Gold Country's history, culture, and nature, all providing us with a fun-filled adventure. But how does our trip stack up against our level of fun scale?
Let's start with quality of activities. This is no surprise that we are giving both points here. That's because of the variety and amount of fun activities we did on our visit. Of course, with all the variety comes the fact that there are plenty of options for visitors of all ages and demographics. So both points for demographic applicability.
Let's talk about affordability. This is the West Coast, so the term affordable is relative. But from talking with locals and from what we noticed, the region is a lot more affordable than most other parts of the state. So 2 points here.
In regards to one of my favorite criteria, quality of restaurants, Gold Country did not disappoint. We enjoyed some delicious food at a variety of places, like the aforementioned Firefall Ranch, or even the Roost, where we enjoyed an amazing menu curated by a talented head Black chef.
Even at the Black-owned Oak Park Brewery, we had an amazing meal to go along with their great tasting beer. I mean, even the spot we stayed during our time in Sacramento offered access to amazing food. I'm talking about Revival at the Kempton Sawyer rooftop.
So both points for quality of restaurants. Finally, for special events. The region offers quite a bit of options, especially in Sacramento, and way more than just a Kings game.
For example, the Midtown's Farmers Market, which is ranked as the #1 farmers market in California and the 3rd largest in the country. And there's even Oak Park Brewery that hosts an annual People's Beer Fest, California's largest black beer festival.
Other fun events also happen throughout other parts of Gold Country. everything from festivals to even special nights at Mellowwood Winery. So another 2 points there.
Once again, our tally perfectly reflects what we thought about our time experiencing Gold Country. We give a 10 out of 10 for level of fun.
Even though we didn't strike it rich in Gold Country, we still had an amazing time, especially checking out the historic Black neighborhood of Oak Park. We'll definitely be back.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going back, especially for Yosemite. Hold on, did I really just say I would return just for the nature?
Wow, you did. But I also think it's because of our Black comfort scale, which we're about to show you.
Yes, because we're rating Gold Country on our 10-point comfort scale, giving you real insight into how comfortable it is for a Black traveler. Check it out.
Comfortability for Black people. So how did our trip to Gold Country stack up to our comfort scale? Let's see. We have to tell you that we did experience this trip along with other creators as a part of the Black Travel Alliance, a nonprofit for Black travel creators.
We say that to say that it is a big part of why we are given 2 points for amount of Black people seen. Yeah, that and our time in Sacramento. But let's see how Gold Country fares in terms of Black population numbers.
It is interesting because outside of Sacramento, the African American non-Hispanic population is 1% or less in some areas. But in Sacramento, population is around 11%.
Because of that, we will give 1 point for Black population numbers, meaning that once again, Gold Country is able to benefit from the Sacramento Black residents.
As for artifacts of inclusion, throughout our trip, we did notice some signs throughout Gold Country, so we can give 1 point here. But what about the Black history?
The Black history throughout Gold Country was woven in the many stories that we heard of the Gold Rush towns. Stories like Stephen Spencer Hill, who helped establish the town of Columbia, or Mary Ellen Pleasant, a freed woman from Georgia who made huge contributions to the town of Placerville in the 1800s.
See, because in Sacramento, it was in Oak Park that we saw one of the best tributes to Black history, perhaps one of the best we've ever seen.
So what was the spectacular tribute to Black history? Well, it was simply seeing the Black-owned businesses still thriving today within the same historic Black neighborhood, each still servicing the community and attracting outsiders to come visit within. So we'll give 2 points here.
Finally, for our personal feelings, our whole time visiting, we can say we felt comfortable. And not only because we were traveling with great people, but in the establishments and throughout the city and towns of Gold Country, we were welcomed with smiles.
If you know us and how we feel about any time we can get out into the outdoors and experience nature, then you know that by us not only experiencing Calaveras Big Tree State Park, but also Yosemite National Park, an icon among icons in the national park game, that we were going to be overloaded in nature. And being overloaded in nature usually means that we feel absolutely comfortable. Because, as we say,
nature loves Black people. So both points for our personal comfort, which brings our final tally for Gold Country to an 8 out of 10 for our comfortability for Black people rating.
Looking at a recap of our scores, it's no surprise that we enjoyed our time in Gold Country, and we can't wait to come back.
Yes, we definitely enjoyed our time, and we can definitely recommend you adding it to your list of must-visit places.
From the cool vibes of the city of Sacramento to the immersive nature of Yosemite National Park, in Gold Country, we know you will find something that you will love. And when you go, tell them TWB sent you.
So, Gold Country scored an 8 out of 10 on our new Comfortability for Black people scale. Not too bad at all.
No, not bad at all. It's actually a solid destination for Black travelers. And don't forget, you can also use our scale to rate your own travel experiences.
Definitely. And now it's time for one of our favorite segments of the show, showing off where some of you have been traveling while Black.
Our pictures this episode come in from Michael in Kodiak, Alaska. Alaska is definitely on our list of places to visit.
We also have Monica and Todd Hawkins on the ferry in one of our favorite places, Seattle, Washington.
Yes, we absolutely love seeing our people enjoying travel. Be sure to send us yours. Here's how.
Yes, it's super easy. Just go to our website, travelingwhileblackseattle.com, and submit pictures of yourself traveling while Black. Be sure to include your name and where you're traveling to. And in every episode, we will pick a handful of submissions to shout out during our segment, Where Are You Traveling While Black?
Wow, those were some fantastic photos. Keep sending in your pics of yourselves traveling while Black because we love sharing them.
Yeah, we do. But sadly, that's it for this episode of Traveling While Black. We hope you enjoy getting a taste of our YouTube format.
Yeah, because who knows, maybe we'll add more of those elements into our TV version someday.
Maybe. But in the meantime, if you liked what you saw, check out all of our episodes on YouTube at Traveling While Black. And don't forget to subscribe.
And follow us on Instagram at Travel While Be Okay and TikTok at Traveling While Be Okay. We had a blast this episode and we can't wait to see you again next week.
But until then, beautiful people, stay up, stay true, and do you.